Hi, my name is Ramona Mirage, and I have one question for you. How's your head? Now, you may be asking yourself, why should I trust this man in a dress to give me advice about my life? Well, I'm licensed as full-time therapist in Illinois and Massachusetts, and I have given therapy to hundreds of people. So trust me, because I know what I'm talking about. Today we're going to talk about coping skills. I think that coping skills are really important, not only to allow ourselves to distract from some of the stuff that's going on in our lives, but it can also be really great for processing through some emotions that maybe we've been harboring or keeping inside. So those are really the two ways that I like to separate coping skills. So the first one with distraction. I think that oftentimes there can be this negative view of distracting from our emotions. And so I want to clarify that when I say distracting, it's not to say pushing it inside or locking it away somewhere deep. It's just pushing it aside just temporarily because right now we're not in a space in which we can face some of the stuff that's coming up for us, or we don't know how to, right? So what that looks like is exercise is a really big one. Lifting weights, going for a walk, going for a run, any different type of exercise, which also, as we talked about in my previous video, can help raise the dopamine and serotonin levels, right? The chemicals in our brain that make us feel good. These are also things that can come out when we have certain types of foods, which I talked about last time. Media is a great one, from TV to movies to books, anything that can take us out of the place that we're in now that's giving us this irky feeling, right? So I really love watching Game of Thrones. I love Daenerys. Let's go ride some dragons. Like, yeet me out of here. I am over it. Another type of thing that can take you out of your present experience, going to a drag show. And what's so great now during COVID is there's so many online that you don't need to have to get up and go somewhere if you're feeling like you don't want to socialize or you're just feeling really irky. You could pop on a video. There's so many recorded videos. I don't really have many, but I can point you in the direction of some great ones if you're interested. Definitely reach out to me. I have some great peers who are doing some good stuff. Coloring or other types of drawing or doodling. Other things that take a little more mental effort can also really be great, like a puzzle or a crossword, Sudoku, anything that's going to take your mind and focus away from whatever is causing you that anxiety or depression or whatever irky feeling that you're trying to move on from, and really focus in on one of these tasks. Because if we do something like TV or movies or reading, and it's something that's mindless instead of something that we're really invested in, we're something really interested in, our mind is still going to be focused on that other thing that's making us feel really crappy, right? So it's important to really find something we can dive into with full force and that we're really interested in engaging in. What might make this easier is something like a call with a friend or a family member, right? Someone that we really enjoy talking with. This one may be a little bit more about processing because it also can be someone we can process with about our emotions. So before we talked about the two different types of coping skills. But to go back to some of the distractibility stuff, one other one I wanted to mention is painting your nails. Now, I don't know if you are going to be able to have them like mine, but painting your nails can actually really be a great way to manage some feelings that you're having. Not only is it really good for just the artistic fun, again, we talked about different art, but it's also really good if you're having some type of self-harming impulse or purging impulse, because you have to wait for your nails to dry before you can act or use your fingers, right? So by the time that they're dry, hopefully those thoughts will be past. Another really good thing is trying to stay in the moment and remembering that you are safe now. So for folks who may have something from their past coming back, or for folks who are socially anxious, maybe obsessing over something they said to someone that day, really trying to focus on, I'm safe here, everything's okay, I'm in this moment. Some people like the physical coping skills, so like putting your hands under hot or cold water, putting your head in a freezer, putting ice on the back of your neck, taking a cold shower, something that's going to remind you that you're physically here and you're not where your mind is putting you. And so now we can talk about ways to actively cope through the emotions that we're having. So one of the biggest ones I recommend to people is letter writing. Now that can be to someone who you really miss, maybe someone who passed away or an old partner or someone you just can't have contact with anymore, Or maybe someone who hurt you and you want to say all of these things to them, but you can't literally say to them because of consequences that may come of that. And so both of these are really great ways to just let out all of the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings that you have about some of these experiences out on paper, and you never have to send it. For more of the letters to someone you dislike, maybe you rip it up or you burn it. You could keep it, but I find for folks that sometimes like crumpling it up and throwing it out or having some type of destructive way also releases all that emotion that you put in there and can sometimes feel like closure to that chapter of your life that maybe you're still holding on to. You could also write a letter to your younger self. This can be a great way to reflect on all the accomplishments you've had since whatever age that you want to be addressing this letter to that you were. You could also look at it as a form of resiliency. So I hear sometimes from folks, well, I had a really hard life and I've had a lot of trauma and all of these different experiences that I've had, and it goes on and on and on. And so for those folks, I often say, well, what I'm hearing you say is that you're really resilient, that you've really been able to overcome all of these things, that you're still here, that maybe you have a roof over your head, that you've been able to advocate to get into session with me, and you've been able to advocate to find a clinician, that you have the financial stability to afford a copay to meet with me, right? I think all of those things show great resiliency. And so it sometimes can take some work for those of us who maybe don't have as much self-confidence, and self-confidence is a video I'm going to do a little later, but to use this letter maybe it's an opportunity to build some of that up and really challenge yourself to look at times in which you were successful and reflecting on things that you can be proud of yourself for. To that effect, another thing that I really like folks to do is identify 2 or 3 quotes that make you feel good, memories that you really like looking back on, positive attributes about yourself, and put them on Post-its and put them somewhere that you will see them, whether that's your vanity or your mirror in the morning, or maybe it's on your Keurig or your coffee pots. You see it when you wake up in the morning, or on your nightstand, on your phone, whatever it may be. Other folks like to just keep them in a spot. They'll see it every day so they can actively read it, maybe change it out once a week or once a month when it starts getting kind of stale, but something that will help you to feel better, right, when you read them, something that will elicit that pleasurable feeling. The next thing I'll talk about is an impulse log. Now, these are so important whether you are dealing with substance use, which I'll talk about in my next video, or if you have anxiety or ADHD or bipolar, which can often bring about impulses. This can be really, really helpful to you. So the way that an impulse log works is you write down what the impulse you're having is, what you've noticed was going on beforehand that may be triggering this impulse, and what you can be doing instead. So for example, if you are thinking about picking up a drink and you're sober, thinking about what was triggering that. Was it a fight I just had with a partner? Was it difficulty at work? Was it difficulty with my family? Was it my dog was really giving me a hard time today? And thinking about what are these coping skills can I utilize? Maybe taking some deep breaths, or going for a walk, or taking a nice shower, or something that's going to make us feel better and take us out of that impulse that we were having. So thank you all so much for listening today. I really appreciate your time. Please comment down below some coping skills that you use that maybe I didn't think of. Just because I'm trained doesn't mean that I know everything. I learn so much from my clients all the time. And I'd really love this video series to be a community that we build. You know, being queer, oftentimes people don't necessarily have support. And so I'd love this to be an area for us to support each other in our own journeys. Hi, my name is Ramona Mirage. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please turn on the notifications and subscribe down below. Wow, I think I'm a YouTuber now. So if you need any additional help, please don't hesitate to reach out. I know sometimes finding a therapist can be really challenging for those who are interested, so I'd be happy to help you through this process. And I also just want to offer some additional supports. I'm going to put those down below, some different phone numbers and other folks that you could reach out to if you need some additional help. And I'd love to hear from you. And I'm also excited to announce that I will be offering a panel every month with other clinicians from around the country with diverse experiences, diverse backgrounds, diverse identities, to talk about topics that I don't necessarily feel qualified to talk about. Our first one will be in February. I am keeping the topic quiet for now. But you can turn on the notification bell, you can subscribe below, and you will be notified about more details as we get closer to that date. The first one will be sometime in February, and I'm really excited about the panel I have. Such a diverse group of folks, and we will be talking about a topic that a lot of you have been requesting and something that makes sense for February. So I think that'll give a big hint. I'm sure you'll figure out what it is. I also have made a Patreon. I realize that, especially at the time of this filming during COVID, money is tight for most folks. So please know that my videos will always be free and accessible to everyone. That's my main priority on YouTube every Thursday for Therapy Thursdays. However, this will give some exclusive content to those who feel that they can afford to help me a little bit, because I really do invest a lot of time and energy into making these videos. I'm passionate about it and I'm happy to do it for free, but the money does help if you can afford to. And I look forward to seeing you next week.